Alright, so this morning I woke up and I was going through my female ball pythons looking for eggs, and sure enough one of them started laying eggs, and it was actually pretty bad timing because today it was Father's Day actually, and it is the Denver Repticon. She laid an egg right as I was walking out the door going to the show. So you know what that means? Those eggs have been sitting there for 12 hours. It'll be interesting to see how easily they come apart after they've been sitting kind of stuck together for 12 hours. And then I went to the show. It's pretty much all day, and then it's an hour away. It's probably almost an hour and a half drive to get there, and then you do the show, you pack up your snakes, you drive back, bring them home, set them all back up in the rack, and now I have to set up these eggs. And Bobby here, he's pretty excited about it. He likes to get out in front of the camera, so he doesn't mind at all, and I don't mind one bit. You know, they say if you're having fun doing what you love, you never work a day in your life, and that is what it's like breeding snakes for me. So what I want to do today is I want to go and we're going to check out that female, take her off of her eggs, and set up those eggs in the incubator. Alright, so here we go. What I want to do is I'm going to take that female off of her eggs and I'm going to put her down in this big empty boa tub I have down here, kind of as a temporary holding, just so I can work on these eggs. So let's take a look at how many eggs she has now. She should have laid them all by now. It looks like she has a whole bunch of eggs. Wow. She's looking really good. She almost looks like that snake cake that I saw at the reptile show. She is really gripping those eggs pretty tight. So the tricky part is getting her off the eggs without taking a bite. And she seems to be she's not really hissing. She seems like she's doing pretty good. Let me see. Oh, there we go. And it looks like she doesn't have any eggs in her body. I'm sure by now she's been sitting for like 12 hours since she laid those eggs. So it looks like she is done laying eggs. Wow. So let's take a look at how many we have. Wow, that is a bunch of eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 eggs. That is incredible. 9 good eggs. Alright, so I pulled the tub, I put it up here on this table, and let's take a look at these eggs. And it looks like they are stuck a little bit, but not too bad. And look at those beautiful pearly whites. Those are awesome. So it looks like there's no slugs in this batch. Usually a slug is an infertile egg. It's usually smaller. And I've been hitting really good odds with virtually no slugs all last year. And this year I think I've only had maybe 4 or 5 slugs out of probably 150, 200 eggs, which is pretty amazing odds. I know a lot of people get quite a few slugs. And usually you get slugs, I think, if the eggs, if you don't really pair up the males and females enough times or for long enough throughout the breeding season. I think they need to be together multiple times, at least once a month throughout the entire breeding season. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try to separate these eggs. And I know some people, well, let me, since they've been sitting for 12 hours, I've never actually, I don't think I've ever tried to separate eggs that have been sitting for so long. And these almost look like they could fit in an egg box just like that. I'm almost tempted to kind of put the whole clutch in an egg box. So what a lot of people do is they just put it right in just like this. It almost fits pretty good. I'm tempted to do that. You bring up the vermiculite a little bit. The one thing I want to make sure that they don't really touch the sides of the egg box. So I'm thinking maybe if I could separate just this one over here. And they are so stuck together, I'm not even sure I even want to attempt to separate these. I might just put them right in the egg box just like this. This is the first time I've waited so long for eggs, and it's because of the reptile show. I think I'm just going to incubate them just like this. That's what most people do, and the problem is if you get a bad egg on the bottom, you're kind of stuck and it gets really nasty and fuzzy, and it can kind of affect the other eggs. But most people, I think they just kind of leave them like this. So I want to take a chance and leave them all together, and that way you don't have to separate them or candle them or anything. It's kind of the easy way. Alright, so what I do from here to set up the egg box is I use these little egg boxes. I'm not even sure where I got them. So a lot of people have been asking me where I get this box, and I think I got it at the dollar stores, honestly. I got a bunch of them, maybe on Amazon. I can't even hardly remember. It's been a few years since I actually got them. So essentially what I do is I just turn on the balance here and let it zero out. And then I add 50-50 mix of water that's at 90 degrees and vermiculite. And usually what I do is I add usually about 150 grams of each. So we are at 130, 140, 144, 146. 154.5, so it doesn't really have to be exact. What you really want to get more exact is the ratio of water to vermiculite. So if you added 154 grams of water, you want to add about 154 grams of vermiculite. And there's been a lot of people asking me where I get my vermiculite and where can I order it. This actually comes from Home Depot, and it's really fine vermiculite, and it's really expensive for a bag like this. If you're thinking about breeding snakes, it's about 50 grams per cup. I kind of figured out it takes about 3 cups to get to 150. Oh, that's 157. Little heavy. 154. So there you go. So that is a 50-50 mix of vermiculite water, and from here what you do is you just kind of mix it up with your hands. Mix it up really good. Get the water kind of evenly distributed. And some people, they can kind of just add the water and the vermiculite and kind of guess at the consistency. It needs to be where you can make a clump, but you don't want it to like drain water if you're draining it. So for me, it's just easier just to weigh it, and then you don't have to really guess. And it really doesn't have to be exact. Some people use just water on top of kind of a grate, and some people use perlite and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can use pretty much whatever you want, but this has been working good for me, and this is what I'm going to stick with just because it's been working pretty much. So this is pretty much the egg box. And then from here, I use these little egg crates. People have been asking me, where do you get the egg crate? I bought them on eBay. I'll have to look up in my purchase history to figure out where I actually got those egg crates. It's been years since I put these together. And what I do is at the end of the year, I just kind of bleach them all and soak them in like a bleachy soap water and use them for the next year and the next year. And it just, you never really have to buy them again. It's just kind of a one-time cost. So from here, I'm going to try to squeeze these in. It looks like, if you look really close on the sides, it looks like over here, there's actually a space between the egg and the side. You definitely don't want the eggs touching the side, because essentially what happens, there's a problem. I just realized that this is too tall, and I can't put my press and seal on here. Oh no, this is too tall. So I might actually have to separate these. I'm gonna have to apply just a little more pressure. It looks like I'm gonna have to actually separate these eggs. This makes me really, really nervous. They're kind of stuck together with like a glue. And I actually ripped one once, and I used a Band-Aid to fix it, which is kind of wild. Alright, so we're kind of going with plan B. And hopefully I don't rip an egg. This makes me really nervous. Yeah, the other option is to get a bigger egg box. And I don't really, actually I do have a bigger egg box. Boy, these are like really, really stuck. Rats. What I could do, I was thinking if I removed, I'm kind of in a pickle now. So I guess what I'm gonna have to do with these eggs is I'm gonna have to figure out if I can use a bigger egg box. Alright, so I actually was able to find a bigger box. These boxes, actually I bought them 2 years ago for Lucy's eggs, and Lucy, my reticulated python, she has not laid eggs since I bought these boxes, so I had to dig them out, and I actually rinsed this and bleached it, so used soapy water and bleach and everything. So I think what I'm going to do is just move these eggs over. Yeah, I think I'm just going to use 150 grams of each and just kind of transfer it over. It'll be a little bit shallower in the box. Maybe it'll give it a little more headroom. I'll just put a grate right on there. And then there's just one egg that I separated, and I think I'm going to candle this one real quick just to make sure the embryo is on the top. And let's see, somewhere I have a marker here. Let me turn out some lights. And what I use is a little pen light here. And what you really want to do is you want to make sure that the embryo is on top. And that is the embryo right there, that little circular thing, and it kind of jiggles a little bit if you move it around. And essentially what you want to do is just put an X right on the embryo. And that's pretty much it. And people are asking me what kind of a Sharpie I use. I just use a Sharpie like this, a big Sharpie. I actually bought a whole pack of them. So essentially what you want to do is you just want to keep the embryo up in here. And that's pretty much it. It has plenty of headroom on that box. Let me turn some lights on so you can see a little better. And then from here, what I do is use press and seal. And essentially what this does is it seals in the humidity, but it lets it breathe. So when these snakes hatch out, they can still breathe really well, but it'll hold all the humidity in for the 2 months of incubation. These incubate for 2 months at 90 degrees. And here's another problem. My press and seal doesn't fit on the box. Okay, let's see what we can do. This is kind of a snag in my plan again. Yeah, I'm not quite sure exactly what to do with this. I guess I could do half and half and kind of overlap maybe. I don't know if they make this press and seal any wider. I didn't even take that into consideration when I was buying these boxes. And let's see how much it goes across here. I don't know if I can do multiple layers like this, if it really matters. And then what I do is I put the top on here and it just clamps right on. And that's it. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is label the box. All right, so from here what I do is I make the labels, and this pairing was an albino pied crossed with my pinstripe female, laid today, hatched in exactly 1 month from today in August. I want to have a lot of stuff hatching in August. Alright, so I put those eggs in my 6 foot tall snake egg incubator that I actually built from a beverage cooler. Essentially what I did is I gutted it and put heat strips on the side, heat controller on the bottom, and put a fan to circulate the air. This thing is filling up with ball python eggs. This is the clutch I just pulled and put in there, and then pretty much the newest ones I put on top, and then the older ones go down and down, down. This one right on the bottom. This one's probably going to hatch in, I'd say, day, maybe a week or a week and a half. That'll be pretty interesting to start cutting those eggs when they start peeping out of the eggs. And really, if I would have started using these big ones at the beginning, I wouldn't have had room in here. That is a lot of snake eggs. I'm thinking I'll probably have between 50 and 60, maybe 70 hatchlings this year. And then I was hoping that Lucy over here would actually lay some eggs. And I'm not sure if she's going to go, but if she lays some eggs at some point, she's probably going to lay, I'd say, probably 35 or 40 eggs. She is a really big reticulated python. 50% Jampea dwarf. I did not think that this snake was going to get to be 72 pounds. I think the last time I weighed her, I think she was almost 74 pounds the last time I weighed her. She is a really big snake, and it's almost too much for me to handle by myself. She's probably about 14 feet long. I was really hoping she would lay this year, but it doesn't really look like it based on her body condition. All right, so in 2 months when those eggs hatch, we should get one of two snakes, either to look like a pinstripe or it will look like a normal ball python. All of them will be 100% double het for albino and het for pied, since I paired my albino pied male with that pinstripe. And there's a lot of people who have been asking, for het albinos and het pieds. I thought, hey, why not do both and use my double visual albino pied male and breed it with some of these snakes and get some double hets for people to actually, get into those projects at a lesser cost. You can actually breed a double het with a double het, and the chances of getting an albino pied, you'd have to look it up, but it's pretty slim. If you're doing double het to double het, it's probably better if you bought a double het and then bred it back to a visual. Your odds would be a little bit better. I haven't looked up the math and the calculations and the odds on that, but it'd be interesting to see what the two double hets actually, what the odds are for hitting the visual. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.